You're invited to a special birthday bash.
It's gonna be a real adventure.
Be sure to wear your thermal tuxedo,
'Cause we're going south.
Hi, I'm George Page. Happy anniversary to Newton's Apple.
Newton's Apple is made possible by a grant from 3M, encouraging innovative ways of looking at the world around us. 3M, innovation working for you.
Welcome to the bottom of the world, and welcome to Newton's Apple, the show that answers your questions about science, technology, and the world around you. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your television set. This is a special edition of Newton's Apple. We brought you to the southernmost continent on the surface of the Earth, Antarctica. As you can see, I've rounded up a couple of my new friends to help show you around. But let's go back to the beginning. Like, how did I get here? It's a little bit like an adventure movie. The adventure begins in Miami, Florida. It takes me 8 hours into the skies of South America. Plenty of time to read up on my destination, but am I ready for this? I've been invited to be a guest at the United States Research Station, Palmer. My first destination is Chile, the Western Hemisphere's gateway to the Antarctic. And lucky for me, it's summertime in the southern half of the world. But there's no time for a tan. It's still a long way across the mountains of southern Chile as I rest up for adventure on the next continent to the south. Three days and 4 rather long plane rides has brought us this far, the southern tip of mainland South America. But before the next part of the trip, there was plenty to do. The Chilean port of Punta Arenas has always been a stopping point for travelers navigating the southern waters. In recent years, it has become a gathering place for researchers on their way even further south. In a warehouse nestled in the busy shipyards, I found the National Science Foundation's outfitting service. Herman Vidal Villegas and his energetic staff were waiting to supply me with my protective clothing and gear. Yes, I need to get outfitted for the Antarctic.
Come on, please follow me. ¿Por qué no le traes un cacharpero de eso, por favor?
The warehouse of Antarctic Support Associates was crammed sky-high with the latest in high-tech expedition gear. Polar fleece, capelline, polypropylene, Gore-Tex, and insulated boots as far as you could see. My personal collection was growing, fashionable as well. It might look like a lot, but when worn in layers, it will keep you warm and dry in the wet and windy Antarctic Peninsula, where temperatures hover around freezing this time of year. The biggest danger is a fall into the icy water. 15 minutes is about how long anyone is expected to last. I'll try and avoid that.
Okay, Dave. This is your stuff.
All
try
that?
them on. Yeah, all this.
Don't have to wear it all at once, do you? Whatever happened to a good old-fashioned sweater? Herman, I still have these.
But you forgot your gloves, you know?
Oh, gracias.
Okay,
Just
gloves.
what I need. This might be fine in Antarctica, but it's sweltering in here. The next day, I discovered red would be this trip's fashion statement. My traveling companions would be a group of engineers and government officials who were headed down to the U.S. Research Station, along with a lot of supplies, since this trip is taken infrequently. A military C-130 would be the vehicle of choice for this next leg of the journey. There's no business section on this plane. In the military, it's all business.
Everybody's got ear protectors, right?
The supplies were packed in the large cargo area in back. We were packed up front. In 3 hours, we would be in the Antarctic. All right, get the picture? It's loud in here. No chance for meaningful conversations. But when flying commercial, how often do you get to wander into the cockpit and meet your flight crew? Next stop, King George Island, the only airstrip on the west side of Antarctica. Back on firm ground, but not for long. From here, we continue our journey over water. The Erebus will be home for the next 24 hours as we navigate the Bransfield Strait. As our ship picked up speed, I took the opportunity to look around. The Erebus is a French-owned vessel that has traveled these frigid waters for over 8 years. In that time, it's ferried researchers from all over the world. Captain Alexander Weiser has chauffeured them all through what many call the world's most dangerous waters.
What is it that you like most about being out on the sea?
A sensation of freedom. Sensation of freedom, sensation to be really the master of the expedition. And the companionship, where the way of life. The boat is a special world. We are not a crew. We are a team. And that's a very pretty sensation. And well, in Antarctica we have the sensation also to be useful. At least that's good.
That's important.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
I hadn't realized it yet, but the reason everybody else was crowding around the open deck was because they had already spotted some of the residents of this area. There are 12 species of whales in these Antarctic waters. Today, the humpbacks are showing us exactly how they got their name as they dive for food. These whales spend their summers in this region gorging themselves primarily on a small shrimp-like crustacean called krill. Then, as winter approaches, they travel thousands of miles north to tropical climates where they give birth to their young. There are so many here today that it's hard to believe this creature is in danger of extinction. It's sites like these that bring researchers like Dennis Peacock to this continent.
The Antarctic environment is very rich, especially the marine environment, and it's special, it's different. And the kind of things we're looking at here is how is the whole environment connected?
Because this continent is comparatively free of human exploitation, it's an ideal place to conduct environmental research.
We're hoping to study over something like 10 or 20 years the connection between primary production, how the microorganisms in the ocean convert sunlight into material, which is then used to feed the higher animals and all the way up the chain to the seals and the penguins.
That emphasis on long-term ecological research would be a constant theme during my stay at Palmer Research Station, which, at long last, was in sight. Palmer is one of more than 40 bases established by international treaty in Antarctica. Of the 3 U.S. stations, McMurdo is the largest, housing more than 1,100 people during the summer months. And smack dab on the South Pole is the Amundsen Scott Station. Here, astronomers gaze into the clearest atmosphere in the world. And of course, Palmer, where researchers concentrate on studies in marine biology. 5 days after leaving the United States, we have finally arrived here at Palmer Station on the Antarctic Peninsula. It feels great to be here. Right now, I'm standing outside of one of the 2 main buildings here at the station. Let's go in and take a look. What's going on here? Operations Manager Ann Peoples filled me in on what Palmer was all about.
Okay, we support biology and oceanography predominantly as far as the different scientific disciplines. We're in an excellent marine environment with an unbelievable amount of wildlife surrounding the station. It's a very good area for those type of studies to be conducted.
It wasn't long before I was elected to help out with one of those studies. So it was back out onto the water, this time in an inflatable Zodiac boat. Wildlife ecologist Bill Frazier was taking me to a nearby penguin rookery where we would weigh and measure maturing Adelie penguins. These adolescent birds were about to take the plunge into adulthood by leaving the rookery and swimming out to sea. This would be the last chance this year that Bill could measure these penguins, a process that has been going on since they were chicks.
Okay, Dave,
what I'd like you to do, helping us out, we're going to go down to a beach that's just below here, below this group of penguins. And then with these two sticks, your job is going to be to round them up, keep them away from the water while we move in and pick out the ones that we need.
The roundup tools, huh? These birds are 2 to 3 months old. Their baby down is rapidly falling away. Until recently, their parents fed them daily. Now they must fend for themselves. Their first dip into the sea is only days away.
What we're doing is measuring fledgling weights, which is sort of the season-end event. We're catching the chicks just before they go into the ocean and disappear.
This first trip to sea will last about 2 years. When they are 3 years of age, they will lay their own eggs at this very same rookery.
If you look around in these groups, you're going to see birds that have bands on them, and those are the ones that we're after down on the beach. Okay. Because those are birds for which we're developing a history right now. David, you may have to squat a little bit, you know, and just keep the sticks open.
Animals here are protected by the Antarctic Conservation Act. In order to get this close to the penguins, a special permit is required, and only scientists can get it. The birds make a lot of fuss, but Bill assured us that great care is taken not to hurt them or to disturb their area for longer than necessary. But it isn't always flattering.
Band number is 4188. When we measure these, what we're doing is measuring what's known as allometric growth. Weight changes over time, and right now they're decreasing in weight, but the common length, the length of their bill and their flipper does not. So we're able to judge the relative growth of this population. We can tell if this is a healthy bird by its beak and its flipper relative to its weight. If you were just taking weight measurements, you may end up with biased information.
The information we get today will later be compared to similar measurements taken in past years.
Everything we do is matched season to season. Nothing really means very much on its own. It's only when we compare past years that we're able to say anything about how this population fared from the standpoint of nutrition this year.
And how have these birds done?
Just from the data that we're getting, the numbers that we've done so far, which is only about 30 birds, it looks like the chicks are on average heavier this year than they were last year. So
that's a good sign?
It's a good sign. Most of them are fledgling with a lot of weight. The theory behind this is that survival, overwinter survival, the highest mortality in seabirds tends to occur during their first winter. And the fatter the chicks are, the better condition they are, the more likely they are to return.
Having this extra weight is like having money in the bank while looking for a job. It takes time to learn how to find and catch food at sea. So the fatter the bird, the more time it has to figure things out.
But the reason we have band birds is that we will be able to, these will return to the rookery if they survive. So we'll have a history of how much they weighed prior to their departure.
Then you'll be able to weigh them when they return.
Yeah.
He wants to tell you something, Bill. Thanks, but no thanks. With the measurements completed, we headed back to the station. But the work is not over yet. Field data now gets transferred to computer for analysis and the final published results. We've got all kinds of transportation mechanisms here at Palmer Station, starting with the big boat in the dock there to the Zodiac boats, all-terrain vehicles, snowmobiles, and this gadget. It's a trolley. It's going to get me from here to Bonaparte Point on the other side of the bay. That's where I'm going right now.
This is going to take me a little longer than I thought. Why don't you go ahead and tour the station without me, and I'll catch up later.
The station has a maximum population of 43. We have two primary buildings, the biolab where we are now, and this has berthing. It houses our dining room, kitchen, pantry, and then labs downstairs for the grantees to conduct their work. The other primary building is GWR, which stands for Garage, Warehouse, and Recreation. That also has berthing. It has a weight room, a small ham shack. It also contains our garage, our power plant, and some supply warehousing area.
We've got emergency water storage here for putting fires out, two huge tanks for drinking water, and let's see, a reverse osmosis water purification system. There's also a full workshop, a massive storage area, and a small medical facility. A complete physical and dental exam were required before departing for Palmer, because, although it is a well-equipped facility, resources are limited. This kind of isolation makes the radio room very important.
South Pole, Palmer.
Palmer Station, South Pole, go ahead.
How's your weather?
Well, right now we are at balmy negative 82 degrees Fahrenheit with the wind
The weather
chill.
station at Palmer is constantly monitoring the area's volatile weather conditions. Before heading out for my afternoon activities, I thought I'd check up on the forecast.
It's blowing harder than it was this morning, yes. The local weather can be very unpredictable. It can be calm here on station, and 3 miles away it can be blowing 40 knots.
The creatures that Principal Investigator Robin Ross studies are one of the most abundant animals in the world, but they're extremely difficult to find. They're Antarctic krill, a tiny shrimp-like animal. They may look insignificant, but they play a major role in the Antarctic ecosystem.
It happens to be a dominant organism in the water column that's available as prey for all of the upper-level predators. And because it's a dominant, it tends to make up 98% of the diet of some of these predators.
Like the big guys, like the seals?
Like the seals and the
birds?
penguins,
No kidding.
most of the seabirds. They're certainly the prime food source for the whales. It turns out that even something like a leopard seal that most people think primarily eats penguins, 40% of its diet is krill.
Like the leopard seals, we headed out to sea in search of krill, laden down with a boat of specialized equipment.
The first instrument that we used is called a CTD. It's a conductivity temperature depth profiler. What that means is it gives us a vertical profile of what the salt content and the temperature content is of the water.
We also use something called a fluorometer and a transmissometer. They measure the amount of plant material and the clarity of the water.
The second instrument we use is an OFI. It's an optical freefall instrument, and the OFI is our way of telling how much light is getting into the water.
Sunlight is an important measurement because it directly affects the growth of microscopic plants called phytoplankton, the main food source for krill.
With the electronics boat, we've pinpointed the general area where we would find a school. We've pinpointed the general depth range that we would find the school in.
Once they're located, we trade in our high-tech boat for a low-tech trawler.
Do you think we can find that group of krill again? How many krill would be in a group like that?
Well, you're talking about 20 to 30,000 animals per cubic meter. So it's a lot of krill.
Once we'd taken in our catch, we headed back to the lab.
Straight into the aquarium room with those. What we're doing back in the lab is we're trying to get a sense of what the krill are doing physiologically. That is, how well are they growing? How well have they been feeding? Are they able to reproduce that season? So we do a whole variety of experiments on them in several different assays that tell us what the krill have been doing.
I was supposed to determine the sex of these krill.
The females are the ones that you see with little red belly buttons.
Have you ever tried to locate the belly button on something 4 centimeters long? It's another male. It's all ready for you, Robin.
Okay. I'll take care of measuring the eye diameter and the length of the tail then. Now the reason that we're measuring eye diameter is that is what we can measure in the penguin diet samples.
So that's basically all that's left once the penguin has gobbled one of these down, huh?
That's basically all that's left when you're looking at a penguin diet sample, that it's in good shape.
And the size of the eye corresponds to the size of the krill. Another test helps Robin gauge the crustacean's growth.
This is an experiment that only lasts 4 days. It uses live animals, and it tells us what the growth rates are of the animals in the field from that particular school.
When combined with environmental data, Robin can focus on changes in the population as a whole.
If I could understand the reproduction in krill well enough, I'm sure I could be able to predict what would happen as the environment changed.
There are 43 species of birds that live at least part of the year near this continent. The majority, like this petrel, are seabirds. The petrel is very numerous, surpassing even some penguin species in sheer numbers. But cormorants and gulls fish these waters as well. The bird that Bill Fraser was after this time was a noisy, aggressive relative of the gulls, the South Polar skua.
This is the way that we catch South Polar skua adults. The nest site is right here, and in the process of defending it, we're able to net them.
So they'll come in and you'll just net them as they come in.
Right.
These birds were definitely not as docile as the baby penguins.
There's one.
Okay, watch the egg.
And taking the measurements would be complicated by the constant bombardment of its angry mate.
Now, something you can notice about this bird, this is one of the indicator species for the availability of Antarctic silverfish. And if you notice, this bird has been eating fish because it's got scales, fish scales, right on the side of the beak.
Telltale signs.
Telltale signs that there's fish out there.
As with the penguins, we take some basic measurements. These flighted birds also are banded because of their global migration range.
The South Polars are migratory. We've gotten returns from as far as Greenland. Birds banded here have shown up as far north as Greenland. Well, this bird is ready to be released. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and catch its mate.
The captive bird now is used as bait to catch its partner. Both members need to be measured to obtain a complete family chronicle.
We get a lot of what amounts to life histories, individual life histories on every bird that we have. Right now we're working with about 160 pairs of skuas, most of which we know their life histories. Many are known age birds that were banded many years ago. So we have histories as long as 15 years on some of them. That's the one we need. Yeah, they got it.
Great.
We've been after this bird for a month.
It may have taken a long time to catch this bird, but chances are this won't be the last time it finds itself in Bill's net.
They're very specific. Same bird always shows up in the same area. So it's one of the great things about studying these birds and using them as indicators of the system is that you know year to year where to find them. And you know that you're dealing year to year with the same bird, so you eliminate a lot of variation.
Because researchers have been collecting data yearly for more than 20 years, they have detected changes in the environment over time. Bill's records show warmer winters are the possible reason that several species of animals have started competing for the same valuable coastal space.
Something that's happening and that we've noted over the years is that the number of elephant seals is increasing drastically here. And they're now at the point where they're competing for space with the penguins.
These seals have made their home right in the center of what was once a very large penguin colony.
They've displaced all the penguins and actually split up the colony into 3 parts now. There's no interaction that we can see between the seals, no aggressive interaction. It's just one of competition for space.
Elephant seals are not the only species of seals that are growing in numbers.
This is a southern fur seal. It's one of the species that, at least in this area, has increased dramatically since the mid-70s.
In 1974, when Bill's studies began, only 6 fur seals were recorded. Last year's census counted over 4,000 of the animals.
What's that pattern telling you?
We have good weather data, good long-term weather data, and good sea ice data over the last two decades to indicate there is a warming trend occurring here on the Antarctic Peninsula.
In the 1940s, 4 out of every 5 years saw winters cold enough to freeze the ocean around the peninsula's coastline. Some species, like this leopard seal, need the ice for their habitat. In the 1980s, only 1 or 2 out of every 5 years got that cold. As a result, the species who need ice cover have decreased in population, while those needing open water have flourished.
The long-term data that we have is providing us with a signal. All these species that require different habitats are providing us with a very clear signal that habitat is changing.
As remote as this continent is from the developed world to the north, the consequences of such things as global warming are still very visible. In fact, because this is such a pristine environment, ecological disruption can be even more apparent.
Now we're able to address issues that really have a global perspective rather than a more local Antarctic perspective.
Although it seems like I just arrived, it was already time to depart. Since winter was approaching, many of the residents of Palmer were also saying goodbye for the season. Since the beginning of human existence, individuals have ventured to new frontiers for adventure and the pursuit of knowledge. This spirit of exploration and discovery is the foundation of what modern science is all about, and the inspiration for remote research facilities like this.
Newton's Apple is made possible by a grant from 3M and its employees, dedicated to innovative thinking and scientific learning. 3M, innovation working for you.